Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. What the hell went wrong with my recording screen? For some reason, the dice are missing.
Rip.
Oh, always good to be prepared.
What the fucking... hang on.
Oh, for fuck's sake, not again with the technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties ahoy!
Hang on a second, I'm gonna try reloading the screen entirely. Don't know what the fuck has gone wrong, but it has, and it shouldn't. If I have to re-record the goddamn intro... Okay, good, it's fixed. Alright. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Just had to make sure my dice screen was working right. Welcome back to Final Fantasy Chronicles of Eno. I am your host and game master, Skajarmas, otherwise known as Toneshift, as always, and with me today, we have our full cast of players. We have Hades Shadow 92 playing Thanatos, our male human Dark Knight.
Hi.
We have Luminous Starlight playing Rocket, the female cyborg Chocobo Warrior.
Fuck the sun.
Okay. Is it like hot over there or something?
No.
Okay.
Thumbs up and then you have to wake up.
Oh, okay. I feel that. Okay, we have Tom 117Z playing Neothil, our female Elvon Ranger.
Hugs preparing for deployment.
And last, we have Darkness, who plays Alistair, our male human paladin, who still needs to get into roll 20. I have a quick disclaimer and a little notification for our audience before we jump too much into today's session. Darkness is currently coming down from a fever. It is his decision to be here to play. None of us are forcing it. As matters stand, just keep that in mind if he seems a little out of it today. So just keep that in mind.
Indeed, and
Hey,
hi everyone.
Alice is loopy at the best of times, so surely that'll just be method acting.
I'm sure he appreciates that.
And
So,
what we went through, I think they'd understand if he was a little loopy.
yeah, indeed. Well, where we last left off, our intrepid band of adventurers having come back to the Isle of Marasu and ventured down into the sunken temple to locate Leviathan's Crystal of Darkness to bring word to Bahamut about the fate of his daughter Tiamat, was intercepted by Murasan, who promptly revealed himself to be Saran, and placed them through vile magics on a series of floating islands above the surface of Marasu, way up in the air, and sicked Tiamat herself upon them. After a long and grueling battle, the party was able to take Tiamat down, and as they were fighting the demi-goddess of dragons, they were able to see Leviathan doing battle with Saran down in the waters below. Recognizing that there wasn't really a whole lot they could do to help in this particular scenario, the party instead returned to the city of Marasu to warn the inhabitants of the coming damage after going to the crystal itself, managing to slip past the battle without getting caught up in the crossfire, whereupon they were told by Leviathan to get back to the city and save as many people as they can. And as a parting gift...
Well, we got a new crystal.
She bequeathed a seemingly a sliver of her Crystal of Darkness's power to Mika in the form of a smaller crystal shard. How it works, how much power is contained within it, and what the party is supposed to do with it is presently unknown. But regardless, with the crystal in the party's possession, everyone made their way back to the city with the help of their airship, the Little Wing, and rescued as many people as they could before the Crystal of Darkness was shattered by Saran. With as many people as could be hoped for saved, the party departed the island as the crystal shattered in the distance, and the Isle of Marasu sunk beneath the waves. And that's where we last left off. So, everyone, we pick up right where we left off. The island has sunk beneath the waves. The giant walls of water that Leviathan conjured to try and contain things is starting to fall back into the ocean.
This news is going to make waves.
There is still intense winds and thunder blasting through the sky, but it seems to slowly be calming down. But you estimate it'll probably be a good few days before the storm passes in its entirety. So, what are you doing?
Okay.
Well,
I'd probably ensure that everyone got on board is alright.
we would just set course
Didn't need any
for.
medical help.
We just set course for Lyricide.
That was where Laren wanted to get his people, yes?
Yep, that's where we're going.
Can we see the ships?
Make an awareness check.
Less. 5. 16. Nearly perfect.
All right. So, Nee and Thanatos, as you sort of, as Nee's piloting the ship, sort of glancing out to the windows of the steering cabin, whatever you call it, and Thanatos at the rails, you sort of look around for a bit, and the
With
helm.
the helm.
All right, and you eventually spot a small collection of three ships on the waves, trying to sail through the storm, but are very much being rocked around by the tumultuous waves and the strong winds.
Does it look like they're going to make it?
You can't really tell from here. They're definitely giving their all, but whether or not they'll make the journey is currently unknown to you.
Maybe we should stick around with them. Provide assistance if we can. She's speaking to Laren.
I agree. I don't want to leave my people behind.
Push comes to shove, we could always give them a tow.
Right.
Yeah, this little thing towing a big ship like that.
Don't underestimate the engines. It's nippy for a reason.
All right, so
Nee, as after saying that, Nee's gonna look off towards Mika. What's she doing?
Mika is by the rail of the ship. It's hard to make her out through the crowd because your deck is densely packed with people. You are at capacity. And Mika is just sort of slumped against the rail, sort of leaning over it a little bit, looking down at the water. Tail down, ears flat. Otherwise not moving. Can't see her face from here. Her back is to you.
Nee definitely wants to go to our side, but no one else here knows how to fly the ship, do they?
No.
Can't leave the helm. Nee looks rather forlorn at that.
So, you bringing the airship down to the boats?
Yeah.
All right. You bring the little wing down through the waves and winds as well as you can. It's a little tough, but you think you got it at this point, and you manage to get down so that you're flying just above the water. You decrease your acceleration a bit so that you're flying at about the same speed as the boats are moving, and you look over at them, and it looks like two of them are doing pretty good. The crew on deck are working really hard to keep things moving steadily, and you can see that the decks are just loaded with people. The third ship seems to be having a bit of a harder time. It looks like the energy on it is a bit more frantic.
Looks like the people on that one are panicking. And if they were able to calm.
We definitely need to help them out. We can't have anyone panicking at this time now.
I'll bring us alongside that one. Laren, if you want to have a speech prepared.
Right,
You seem
right,
really good at that.
right.
And if it's okay if I may follow, just in case anyone needs any medical help.
Well,
Right. Okay, so you bring the little wing up to the ship whose crew and the people on board it seem to be in a bit of a panicked state. And once you're flying alongside, they slow down a little bit to take note of the airship flying alongside them. Laren pushes his way through the crowd on the deck to the railing and starts calling out to them, but over the din of the wind and waves, you can't really make out specifically what he's saying. But after a little bit, it seems to have the intended effect, and the people on that boat start to sort of calm down and get their shit together, and the crew's barking out orders, and things are getting a bit more organized and orderly. After a moment, Laren comes back. All right, that should do the trick, and I've informed them that we're headed for Lirasai. So we should all be heading in the same direction. If it's all the same to you, Miss Athil, I'd rather the airship keep with the boats at all times. I don't want to be too far away from my people.
Don't worry, I hadn't intended on going too far ahead.
Right.
And what of their condition? Are they all okay?
Couldn't really tell, but we don't really have the room to do that right now. We should get out of the storm before anything else.
I don't suppose you saw any sign of Vanar?
I didn't. But it was very crowded. He could have been anywhere in there.
We can help you sort through them when we get to their side. I'm sure they're gonna want to know what happened.
Definitely. Not looking forward to reporting to the Alpha about this.
Get some rest. I have the helm.
Right. Vanar sort of meanders off. Any of the rest of you have anything you want to do on deck?
Not really. I mean, Rocket's kind of conked out,
Yeah, she's
trying
pretty
to get
exhausted.
some
would
rest
be
after
exhausted.
all the hard work she did yesterday.
Yeah.
You've earned your
suppose I
guy
should-
the pickles. We'll buy you some in their side.
Thanatos, what about you?
Well, considering the daring rescue he made, he's pretty worn out as well.
Right. So everyone's pretty worn out and just kind of keeping to themselves for the time being then?
Or,
All right.
Mm.
Well,
That's
if
what
that be the
I was gonna
case, as everyone is, as the airship is sticking with the boats, your travel time will not have the same decrease as it normally would if you were going full tilt. So in this case, it will take approximately 8 days to reach Lirasai.
Who the hell am I alternating out the helm with? I think Nika stay away for 8 days.
Well, forgive me. I would like to assist. But
Well,
I think since I
if
used up
anyone
most
has
of
the
my magic
vehicle,
on.
if anyone has the vehicle skill, they could do it.
Well, here's the thing. I don't have that, but the main reason why LSI wouldn't is because he's tapped out of most of his magic for keeping Rocket going.
Right.
I don't think anyone has vehicle skill aside from me, do they?
I mean, Mika has it, but she's catatonic, so.
I have 1 in vehicles.
How much does Mika have?
Mika has 1.
Oh.
Well, we'll need to split. So, all right. So on the way, let's say like she manages to go for 48 hours without going, but eventually like she needs to go, doesn't she?
Yeah, eventually needs to stop and get some rest.
Yeah.
Is
So
that enough to
Nope.
do it successfully?
just
Literally needs
bear in
to
mind that
take
it's pretty
shit.
much just him just keeping it on the course I've already set us on.
Yeah. After 2
So-
days of flying through the air with the storm eventually passing behind you and the ships getting a bit more orderly and things starting to calm down, after all that and all the chaos and hustle and bustle, the exhaustion of everything that's been happening, and you've been staying up the entire time to keep the little wing going, you're just, you need rest. And you give a quick primer on how to handle the airship's controls to Thanatos, which buttons to push, which levers to pull at what times, how to manage the altitude. Just a very quick crash course on the basic controls. And you go to get some rest, I'm assuming, while Thanatos takes
Well,
over.
first she's looking for Mika.
All right. Over the last couple days, things have sort of quieted down, and everyone's sort of found their own little corners, creating as much free space as possible as like families huddle together and whatnot in their own little spots. And as like the party has like their own little rooms sort of below the top deck. There's like some crew compartments. You head down there and you find Mika along with her family in one of them. And when you step in, you see Mika is sitting on sitting on her bed with like her knees tucked up to her chest, and she is otherwise unresponsive. She's just staring straight ahead, dark rings under her eyes.
She's going to. Well, first, what are the parents doing? Like looking at them.
At present, they are just sort of keeping nearby to Mika and just sitting there in silence. They look pretty tired too. I sort of look up as you enter, and if I can remember the names. Where are they? Here we are. And Keela sort of looks up as you enter and is like, "Oh, hey."
Hi. Has she moved?
Not unless we move her now.
She's going to go and sit down next to her.
There's a little twitch of Mika's ear, but she doesn't otherwise respond.
Hey. Sorry I've been so busy. I've stuck Thanatos at the helm, if you can believe that. She's slowly going to take her hand and kind of gently rest her head on her shoulder, kind of nuzzling up almost. Take what time you need. I'm always here.
You can feel her hand sort of tightening around yours, very tightly. It's almost uncomfortable, but
She doesn't object.
right. So, what happens now? That's the father speaking.
Ship's on course to Lyrasai. We'll be there in a few days.
All right.
After that, she kind of, like, where's the crystal right now?
The crystal, you look and you see that it's set on the end table by the bed.
He's going to gently stand up and go towards it and pick it up.
Feels kind of tingly in your hand. Has a bit of heft to it. Smooth surface.
She's going to return to Mika's side and kind of hold it out. Leviathan chose you for this. Everything that was Marasu, you and your people. You carry them, you know. You can help them find a new home, rebuild. So I know you can. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met, Mika. Even when I was at my lowest, you never strayed. So, when you're ready for this, you'd only ask.
No response.
For the moment, she's gonna kind of hold her hand again and leave it there, taking the crystal and sticking it away.
All right. And then you go to get some rest, I assume?
Well, she's sticking with Mika, but yeah.
Okay.
I can almost imagine she kind of head kind of leaning on her shoulder. She probably falls asleep right there, unintentionally, but you know she's exhausted.
Right. And the rest of you? It's been a couple days, so
Anastasia
everyone's
probably getting some long, well-earned rest.
yeah, everyone's HP and
To
MP is fully
regain
restored
that.
at this point. You've all taken a couple full rests at this point, so you're all back to. You're all sort of recuperated physically. So if there's anything you want to do during the journey.
He would probably just keep an eye on the passengers and making sure that everyone's.
All right. All right. Rocket.
Sorry, I had nerds.
Okay. Over the course of the journey, over these 2 days, at about the same time that Nee transfers the helm to Thanatos and goes below decks, is you're sort of, I assume, resting up top? I assume you're, like, up top? It got quiet.
Yeah.
She said,
Okay.
"Can you not hear us? Hello."
Oh, there we
Hello?
go. Okay, now I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear.
That was
I
weird.
was talking.
That's
Yeah,
weird. Okay, for some reason
It was just you.
I lost sound.
Oh.
Weird. But you were saying?
What was I saying?
You said yes when up on deck.
Okay. All right. If that be the case, then while you're up there, just sort of watching the ocean pass below, spotting the occasional small unmarked island, the largest maybe being a mile across, as you're sitting there, Trisha and Jerish approach. You sort of hear them coming up behind you, and you turn and you see them, and they both look just fucking tired.
You guys tired too, huh?
What was that?
So you guys are tired too, huh?
Yeah, I can't sleep. It's so noisy all the time.
Yeah. You don't expect to fall. You don't really expect to go to bed one day in your bone bed, wake up, go to bed the next on a ship. On an active ship at that.
So what happened to the island?
Crystal shattered.
Everyone keeps saying the island sunk, but that doesn't.
It more like the water rose above it. Whatever barrier was holding back the water wore off.
So it's gone?
Can say for sure. Maybe one day there'll be a way to make the water recede again, but until then, the best we can hope for is to escape and get our bearings.
I don't really say anything else, and Trisha just comes in, and if you allow her, just like sort of hugs into your side a little bit, like using you like
Okay.
a big pillow.
I allow it.
And a second later, Jerish joins. And they just seem to be trying to find some comfort in your feathers, as it were.
I allow it. I'm kind of worn out still as it is.
Fair enough. All right. Thanatos is helming the ship. Alistair is taking rest and making sure no one's wounded, and thankfully no one seems to be hurt. The most you're starting to notice is a growing case of hunger on the ship. Because you did not have enough food to feed like 25 people for an extended voyage.
Well,
But as it is, at this time, Neothil,
yep.
while you're asleep, you blink open your eyes.
Is our mother paying a visit? Yep. Yeah.
Familiar field of orange stars has sprawled out before you. A couple of moments pass before she sort of blurs and fades into focus ahead of you, looking around a bit. And eventually her gaze locks onto you. She sees you.
Mother?
There you are.
She approaches.
What the hell happened? A couple days ago, I felt this enormous surge, and I sensed it somewhere near you.
Since like Nee stuck the crystal in like her pocket, would she still have it in like this dream representation?
If she wants there to be one, yes.
Yeah.
It is a dreamscape, so you can make just about anything if
Yeah.
you want. You're lucid dreaming right now, technically, so.
Yeah. So we found this. She brings out the crystal and holds out.
Huh. I can't
It's
really see.
Leviathan's crystal of darkness. What's left of it after Saran destroyed it.
Saran?
Murasan. Is your name Saran?
He destroyed the crystal?
He ambushed us when we talked to Leviathan. Sent Tiamat after us. We defeated it, but during the chaos, Saran grappled with Leviathan and shattered the crystal. All we were able to do was take as much of his power as we can and evacuate the island. So with the crystal, all of Marasu was destroyed. The island, the city, everything.
That's horrible. Where are you now?
We're, sorry, it's been... Haven't slept in a few days. The Little Wings en route to Lirasai, the Mithra capital. We got the Marasu's Lord, Laren, on board, several survivors, escorting 3 other passenger ships. But it's the entire city. 4 ships for an entire city.
A lot of people didn't make it then.
Someone we knew, Vanar, captain of the guard, he stayed back in the royal palace to organize the evacuation efforts. We haven't seen him since.
I'll bring this to the king's attention if I can. Becky.
Do so, and if I may,
if there's anything you want me to convey, say it now.
lore-wise, do I know of any crystals that are supposed to reside in the Bataan area?
Make a lore check.
I know like one's locked up in Volia. Lore. That's Amber. It'll just be a normal D6. So Ew, 11.
An 11? You are at least modestly certain that there are no crystals housed within the within old Vitea. Or if there is, you certainly don't know about it.
Volia has a crystal, if I recall. Could you ask them to send a missive? If Sauron destroyed this one, there's no telling what he might do to the other 9.
I'll be sure to pass that along.
Thanks. How are things in Bate?
Honestly, if I hadn't felt that surge, I would have assumed everything was going normal. The demons in the forest have pretty much dispersed at this point.
Well, there's a bit of good news at least.
For the bulk of the population, it just seems to be life as normal.
Well, things may start to get worse soon. If Sauron destroyed this crystal, then if he goes after the others, what we saw in Marasi will happen all across the continent.
Right. If only the locations of the other crystals wasn't such a carefully guarded secret, I might be able to do more.
Well, if you hear anything, be sure to let us know. Though,
I'll try, but it took me a while just to establish this line of communication through all of the disturbance.
Volia. The crystal in Volia. Maybe we should start looking into that one first.
Perhaps.
Well. Needs must. She looks at the crystal. Hopefully some divine intervention will tell us exactly where to go.
That would be nice.
Leviathan gave us this for a reason. Gave Mika this. She's not doing very well. We got her family out, but...
I can only imagine. From what I understand, that island was her entire world until she met you.
If it was Vitae, or her, I'm gonna kill him.
Just don't let it blind you. This madman does need to be stopped. Just don't let it ruin who you are, alright?
She gives her a smile. Don't worry about me.
It's my job to worry about you.
Yeah, but as long as I've got those goofballs, it's good.
That's part of why I worry.
Touche! But seriously, we'll be in their side in a few days. If there's any big development, I'll try and reach out. Not that I really know how to do this, but, you know,
Alright.
I'm getting a hold of the whole Amber Wings thing.
Alright.
Alright.
And a second passes before you hear another voice.
Surprised no one's asking how I'm feeling about all this.
And Emma sort of walks in next to you.
Well, you've been silent for the last few days.
I've been
Didn't
trying
think
to let
had
you
much to say.
I've been trying to let you focus.
I appreciate. So, what are your insights into all of this?
She sort of crosses her arms.
Honestly, I'm just as lost as you. I don't think any of us could have seen this coming.
Should have been more careful. Alistair, his little soul parasite.
Do you think that had something to do with what happened?
Well, Sauron seemed very coy about how easily he was able to sneak past the barrier. So, It's the only thing I could think of. He must have piggybacked. Not that the barrier would have stopped him indefinitely, but we inadvertently made his job marginally easier.
Hmm.
And the way he just struck aside the Eidolon.
Concerning. You might want to look into that if you have the means.
We'll poke around in Derasai, see if we can't. See if there's any way to get rid of whatever he's stuck on now, sir.
Alright.
It's not even the full parasite anymore. Don't know what it is. Connection.
Alright, well, I should be getting a move on. The people up top will need to hear about this sooner rather than later, and you have a ship full of refugees, I'm assuming.
Yeah, though Thanatos is on the helm right now, I'm... Oh god, I passed out on Mika's shoulder.
I'll let you sleep then.
She takes a step back.
Just be careful, both of you, alright?
We have each other's backs.
You just worry about your end. Alright. Take care.
And Panara disappears, and the amber stars start to fade out, leaving just you and Emma in this mental scape until you decide you're done.
I don't really have much to say.
Right. In that case, Emma will just sort of turn and nod at you,
Yeah, you need your rest. I'll leave you be.
and then disappears, and you fall back into sleep. And with that, we come back to everything else. If there is nothing else anyone wants to check or do, or anything, or anyone else anyone wants to talk to,
One last thing is that, you know, the rounds of the various characters, Marisi, Leyland, etc.
right?
She's gonna check on Marisi and Leyland when she awakens.
All right. They seem to be sticking close to Laren for the most part. Sort of acknowledge you as you approach.
Hey.
Hey. How you holding up?
Well, our home blew up, so...
Well, hopefully we'll find you a new one.
He just can't leave us alone, can he?
Which one is saying that?
Marisi. Leyland seems to be in a similar state to Mika, catatonic.
Saran?
Yeah.
We'll find him. It's our job.
She pulls Leyland tighter.
When you
Leyland.
find him, just make it quick.
She kneels down and looks at Leyland. Leyland. Hey. It's going to be okay. I take it she doesn't have her bow anymore or anything.
Yeah, they seem to just be in their regular clothes and no bow and arrow.
Guess we'll be buying her an Irasai.
Leyland slowly looks up at you a little bit. Your ears twitch a couple times.
Okay.
You're incredibly brave. You know that?
I'm scared.
I know. It's okay to be. Just... we can't let it control us. See all these people around here? They're gonna need the help of the second best archer on this airship.
Okay.
Kinda puts her hand on her shoulder. So, wanna help me tend to these people? Do what we can?
Okay.
She gets up and goes to help you.
So, Nee's just gonna be checking around for the time being, checking in on people, like the various families, innkeeper Oscar, and after doing all the rounds, is going to go and relieve Thanatos at the helm. Keep
All right.
Leyland with her though, and probably gonna kind of show her how the ship works.
Alrighty. Alright. Okay. As you're doing that, Thanatos, is there anything you want to check before we move on?
I'm kind of at the helm, aren't I?
Nee just relieved you of the helm, so.
Yeah.
Leyland's flying us now.
Shite. I can't think of anything.
I think let's just get to Lyra's side now.
Alright. So, keeping a rotation on the helm, keeping tabs on everyone, and doing your best to collect whatever water you can when going along, and keeping tabs on the 3 ships you're sailing alongside. You spend the next several days sailing before, finally, on the 6th day from where we were just a moment ago, you see, as you're coming around the coast of this island, with this big-ass mountain coming out the middle of it, and dotted, dense with tropical jungle, flora and fauna, surprisingly tropical given these islands' northern location, you eventually see a hefty city, very much a sprawl rather than vertical, nestled into a natural inlet bay sort of area. You see a large castle up on a cliffside near the back, several walls, many canals loaded with what look to be just canoes and fishing boats sailing through it, and a massive harbor that puts the one in Marasu to shame in terms of raw scale.
Well, that was in Marasu anyway.
That was in Marasu, yes. There are a lot of ships coming and going as you're coming in.
He's on the helm at this point when bringing them in.
Yep. As you're coming in, as you're bringing the airship towards the docks, Laren steps forward up to you. I think it might be for the best if I and the rest of the refugees relocate to one of the water vessels. There isn't really a spot for an airship to dock here in the harbor. You might want to look for an airship tower or a piece of flat land to set down on.
We'll look for a suitable dock, and we'll meet you down here.
All right. It doesn't take long with that. Laren and the others sort of get ushered onto the third of the boats, which seem to have the fewest number of people, and make an awareness check to locate a flat piece of land to land on.
Or an airship tower. Ideally, an airship tower.
Indeed. And sure enough, you find an airship tower situated along the eastern wall that you fly up and manage to get hitched up to. Sort of a landing platform that the little wing touches down on. And for the first time in well over a week, you can feel the surface upon which you stand going still. And the engines go quiet.
Alright, we'll grab someone to have a look over the little way. I think we've pushed her to her limits. Poor girl. Guys, ready to disembark?
Yeah.
Taking Mika's still silent.
Mika is still silent, yes. Though she is moving now.
Mika.
Your twitches towards you, but she doesn't say anything.
I know this is awful. I can only imagine how I'd feel if it was Mateo. Your people need you now. I need you now. Please?
Couple seconds pass. Barest hint of a nod.
Okay. Gonna hug her.
She hugs back.
We'll get through this. Come on. We need to get Laren by the docks.
Alright. As you're making your way through the streets, work your way down through the tower and you start making your way through the streets of Lyrisai. It is a very nicely built city, but it's very haphazard. As I said earlier, it's built up around this natural bay in the land with a massive harbor, and it all seems to provide suitable natural defenses in the event of an enemy attack by sea, just by the way everything is built up. The architecture, the buildings are very rudimentary looking, well built and sturdy, but not overly flamboyant or fanciful. They're primarily made of wooden frames, and you can see white stone walls and foundations, not unlike what you might have seen in the natural formations back on the Marasan Isle. It creates a look somewhat similar to what one might find in Limp Settlements and Final Fantasy XIV if there was some more wood involved. Connecting many of these buildings at their various different floors and heights are wooden sort of swingy rope bridges sort of held together by ropes or vine-ish ropes, creating this lattice work of varying levels and paths that crisscross and intersect over the streets, which are themselves sort of cobblestone. It gives off the impression of being kind of haphazard, yet very functional at the same time. No matter where you are, there is a quick route to where you need to go on any level. As you work your way through the streets, you see people giving your party sort of interested sideways glances before turning back to their own attention. There's this sort of nervous energy in the air.
I wonder how much these people have heard already. Something like that doesn't go unnoticed.
As you're passing into a fairly large plaza in the heart of the city as you're making your way back towards the docks, you can hear someone shouting out as they're walking by with a bell, the town crier, essentially. Massive tidal waves hit east end of island. Small settlements sunk. Marasan vessels disappeared. As they're passing by.
So, wait, did you say Marasan vessels disappeared?
He's as in like a bunch of vessels that were supposed to arrive sort of vanished, like they didn't show up. The ones that you brought to harbor, they showed up. They're good. There wouldn't have been time for the town criers to get on that if those had disappeared, and people would be freaking out if boats in the harbor just suddenly vanished into the ether. The ones you brought are fine.
Alright. Still heading to the docks.
Alright, it doesn't take you much longer, and you reach the docks, and you see that the boats have been tied up and refugees are being unloaded, and it's quite the spectacle with how bedraggled and exhausted and beaten up everyone looks as they're clambering off, and you see the city watch is already sort of like clearing out the civilian traffic. So back up, just to give the refugees room to move.
I take it like the majority of them are civilians, there's very few guard from Marasu.
Yeah, it seems to largely just be civilians. You only see a couple of people who you think might have been in the guard, Mavon included, but he was a volunteer during the plague. That was never his main occupation.
Yeah. Clara and Tam and that?
Yeah, you see Laren and Tam, and they're talking with a few boat-side officials. You assume the wharf master or whatever the equivalent would be, harbor master.
Approach.
The harbor master turns as you're approaching, and he's sort of a taller mithra with sort of a big build, sort of an older, grizzled-looking fellow. And sort of a button chop sort of thing going on off to the sideburns, and he gives sort of this jut up of his chin as you're approaching. And who's this, then?
We came from Marasu as well. We carry some of the refugees on our airship. We just had to dock it up in the tower.
He turns to Laren. These the ones you were talking about? Yes, these are the ones who saved us. Alright, well, the Alpha will probably want to be talking to all of you. We had a few tidal waves hit the eastern side of the island not all that long ago. A lot of small towns and villages were sunk or washed away and all that.
Fuck. How much do your people know here?
All we really know for sure is that a bunch of tidal waves came and hit the eastern end of the island. Outside of that,
We need to...
just confusion.
It's a king that rules this one, isn't it? Or another lord? What would be the title here?
Laren cuts in and says, well, their rank would...
I was asking out of character.
Out of character. This is the capital, so their equivalent of a king rules here, but the term is Alpha.
Yeah.
You heard
Alpha.
Laren utter that earlier.
We really need to speak to the Alpha. The Marasan Island, it's gone. And, well, just kind of holds the crystal of darkness. It's not over.
He eyes the crystal with this sort of ashen look coming over his face. Oh. All right.
This is...
Okay. He turns and points up at the castle. Go ahead and head up there then. They'll probably let you in once they see Laren and Tom with you.
Thank you. Laren, is everyone off the ships now?
Yes, the harbor masters can take things from here, I think.
I take it Vanar isn't.
I couldn't find him. I looked.
His family?
I found his wife.
Of course.
But I only had one ship to search, so he might have been on one of the others. I'll keep looking, once we're done with the Alpha.
Okay. Let's go sort this out.
Right.
The other
Okay.
crystals might still be in danger.
Alright. And so, with that, you all follow Laren and Tam as they start making their way through the streets. It seems they know where they're going. You get the impression they've been here before in the past. It's,
I imagine that.
yeah, probably. It's not a long journey, and with Laren and Tam sort of at the head, sort of recognized people of authority that they are, you're not slowed down at all on the way. Doors are open to let you through. Before eventually you see the castle looming up in front of you, and it's an impressive structure, well fortified, has the same sort of haphazard, chaotic feel to it that the rest of the city does, but it's very sturdy, very well fortified. You can make out a bunch of portholes on the sides of the walls that you get the impression house cannons or other potential defense mechanisms of that same ilk, ballista maybe, or just points for a bunch of archers to shoot at once, who knows. This is a place that's ready to defend itself on a moment's notice. Unsurprising, given what you know about the city's founding. From Mika's own excited jabberings on the subject.
No jabberings now, though.
Yeah, she's still being quiet. At any rate,
But as we're going, Nee's going to kind of walk up to town.
The court mages here. Do you know them?
I've been required to speak with them on occasion, yes.
Any that could help with, because I talked to Tam about the ring earlier, didn't I?
Yeah, you talked to...
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it at least.
Yeah. Any can help with, now more than ever.
Mikoto, possibly, but as it stands, they're going to be busy. I doubt they're going to have the time to set aside for such a personal side endeavor, I'm sorry.
I know, but it's just all I want from them is information in 5 minutes, if I can. Who is Mikoto?
Mikoto Linia is the court white mage. Genothalan is the court black mage. They sort of jointly fill the position.
If I can just make some 5-minute inquiries at some point, I will. Thanks.
All right. Eventually, the castle gates swing open before you, and you are led inside without any issue. And by the time you're reaching the throne room doors, working your way through the castle, you get the impression that that somehow word got ahead that you would be coming, because the door opens pretty much as soon as you arrive. Stepping in, the throne room isn't exactly as grand as some others you've been in. It's definitely nicer than the one back in Marasu, which was designed with function over most else. But it is a nice locale for what it is. Some pillars line the sides of the rooms. There are banners and tapestries, of course. And there are a few balconies and galleries up on the walls where you assume isle masters from the other islands can gather to listen in on any proceedings that might involve them if they're in the city on business. On a sort of raised platform near the back, you see the throne, which is kind of designed to look like it'll allow someone to just lounge and even just slump over in it, almost like a more fancy version of Rarity's fainting couch, designed to look like a throne.
Huh.
And you see this, and you see a male Mithra sitting in it. If you'll give me a second to pull up my notes on him. He has this sort of orange hair that has this sort of lion-like arrangement with how it sort of flows around the back of his head and flows into the beard he has, which makes him look very fierce. He's sort of an older figure, sort of grizzled and gruff looking. His eyes are the sharp olive color, and you can see that there is a mace leaning against the side of his throne, a very fanciful mace that you get the impression would hurt very hard if he hit you with it.
So he's a warrior.
You get that impression. And he rises from his lounging position as you enter. His eyes land on Laren. Laren Kane, it's been a while. It has, and I wish I had better tidings to bring. What has happened? As of 8 days ago, my isle was lost beneath the waves. The Crystal of Darkness was stolen and destroyed. Destroyed? How?
Nearly all of it.
How and who? The one responsible is a man named Saran. He was once a mithra like us, but it seems he's undergone some horrible changes under the effects of demi-amber. He serves Diabolos directly now, it seems. He followed the people you see behind me into the sunken temple and took advantage of things beyond my personal understanding to infiltrate the crystal chamber and face Leviathan's eidolon, leading to the crystal's destruction and subsequently the sinking of my island. We arrived here with 3 ships loaded with refugees. I don't have an exact number, but I can only assume most of the rest were lost in the floods.
And this was the cause of the tidal waves?
I assume so. Leviathan, in her battle with Saran, managed to raise great walls of water to try and keep the battle contained, but after the crystal was destroyed and her eidolon slain, the waters collapsed.
I see. And the people behind you? I don't know their faces. Step forward, introduce yourselves.
Neothil Alpha, Vitaean Rangers.
He turns to Thanatos.
Sorry. Thanatos of Kurzitan.
His eyes turn to Alistair.
Name's Alistair. I'm a paladin. There's my microphone, bugger.
And the bird?
Rocket.
And then his
Or
eyes...
Chuck-
An interesting creature.
Then his eyes land on Mika, whose eyes are currently turned towards the floor.
And what of you?
Tam speaks up a moment later. I'm afraid she seems to be in a catatonic state. Marasu was her home, and seeing it sunk, she's still recovering. Her name is Mika Solwyn. Her name is Mika Solwyn, and she was my apprentice for many years.
I know your names. My own court wizard spoke to me about your intention to go after the Crystal of Darkness yourself, to pass along a message to the Divines, as I recall.
We succeeded in that regard. It was as we were discussing with Leviathan's eidolon and her main body started towards Bahamut that Saran attacked us. He teleported us out of the chamber so we couldn't intervene and sicked an amber dragon that was once Tiamat on us. We prevailed just, but by the time we reached the crystal chamber again.
To survive a battle with Tiamat, much less come out on top, is rather remarkable. And you will forgive me if I am skeptical of that particular part of your story.
Understandable, but many people are going to be skeptical of our story by the time it's done.
Doubtless, I'd imagine many people will be blaming you for what has transpired. The name Saran carries no real weight here. No one knows this man. I certainly don't. And, seeing as you are the only ones who have come back who we know was in contact with the crystal, there will be those who will undoubtedly jump on that as reasons to accuse you of the crime.
If we were guilty, then why would Leviathan give us this? That's the crystal.
I would be careful about flashing that around if I were you.
This is all that's left of the crystal. Leviathan gifted it to us, well, to
Then-
Mika.
And where do you stand?
I stand, plainly put, in the defense of my people. It is how I won the position of Alpha in the first place, and how I have kept it these last 3 years.
Fair.
My goal is my people's safety, first and foremost. If I perceive a threat, it will be removed.
And be sure that there is no threat from us, but Saran, he seeks the crystals.
Then he has nothing left to find here. The crystal of darkness we presided over, if destroyed, is all we had on that front.
But what of the crystal of light?
I know not where it resides. It does not fall under my jurisdiction. We can rest assured it lies in some other body of water, but I know not which one.
And yet if it's found by him... You say the name Saran means nothing to you, but he was also the leader of the cult who infested Marasu Amber some year back.
I am aware. I heard Laren's report. It is because I have come to trust Laren and how he conducted himself during that disaster that I am not jumping on the bandwagon of accusing you for the crime. I trust his judgment, and he trusts you.
I appreciate that, as does Vitae. I'm currently acting on their orders to hunt Saran down.
Duly noted.
What will happen to the refugees?
The refugees will be housed here for a time until such time as they can find more suitable accommodations. We will do what we can for them until they can stand on their own 2 feet again.
Thank you.
As I said, I take care of my people, but I don't coddle them.
That's all we can hope for.
And what are your intentions now? How do you intend to proceed?
Do what we can for the refugees, but... Well... We have the responsibility of this now. Crystal.
Indeed. I would advise you try to keep that out of sight, if at all possible.
We were thinking of... Well... The only other known crystal right now is in Volia, so if there's going to be any obvious target for Saran to hit next, it'd be there.
Perhaps. At this point, Tam speaks up. As it stands, I do actually know the location of one other, or at the very least, where one could learn of it.
What? Where?
He turns to face you. I don't know its precise location, but before I left my ancestral home, the steppes north of the Anamdura forest, and south of the Bleakmog swamp, I know that one of the various nomadic clans of the Numo that call that land home preside over one of the crystals of wind. Though I do
One
not
of the
know.
Bahamut.
Indeed. Though I do not know which one nor where they currently are.
So 2 in the general... So 1 in Viala, 1 amongst the Numo.
Or at least an idea of where it could be.
Indeed.
Tam then turns to the Alpha. What of your court mages, my liege? If either of them have any knowledge they could impart on us for this, it would be most helpful. The Alpha turns to one of the guards who's nearby. Fetch them. And he heads out. And he turns back to the rest of you. Is there anything else you can tell me that might be of help? Any information at this point would go a long way, I feel.
Saran himself is an Eidolon.
Explain.
Diabolos. We killed Saran at the end of the plague, but Diabolos brought him back.
How?
Somehow. Still vague. brought him back from ashes, almost like a phoenix. And then imbued him with his strength. We don't know how much of it, but enough to overpower Leviathan's Eidolon.
Huh.
Though things aren't necessarily entirely rosy between Saran and Diabolos right now. Saran seemed to have his own agenda. And when we last saw Saran at the Crystal, he was rather bitter about a confrontation of Diabolos. Seems they're not seeing entirely eye to eye as of late.
Interesting.
Don't know whether that's good or bad for us, but either way, they're not going to stop.
Of course they won't. Very well. You are free to remain in the city for the time being if you want for time to rest, and we would welcome your help with the refugees. Once my court mages come back and give us what information they have, you'll be free to go about your business as you see fit.
You have our thanks.
It's at about this time that a door opens and a couple of individuals walk in. Let's see here. Two mithra, one male, one female. The female is dressed in the white robes you would know denounces her as a white mage. She has this tired look on her face, while the other one is dressed in a somewhat more it's not really a robe. It's almost like a Victorian black dress outfit, so to speak. You know, like fancy kind of thing. But he has a sort of a stern, bitter look on his face. His hair is gray. He's got a bunch of wrinkles, and he's got a bit of a hunch going. Sort of an old, grumpy-looking guy. And the alpha turns to them. Good. We were just waiting on you. The white mage nods her head.
You called for us, sire? What is it?
If either of you have any information on where certain crystals of light or darkness may be found, we need to know. These individuals, he nods towards all of you, are on the path of an enemy of us all who's trying to destroy them. Any information you can provide would be invaluable.
The black mage looks at all of you. After someone that can destroy one of the crystals? That sounds like a suicide mission to me.
It's been a suicide mission from the first day. We're still here.
Color me impressed.
However foolhardy it is necessary.
The white mage steps forward.
What specifically are you trying to figure out?
Where the crystals are, or at least an idea of where they are.
We're trying to beat Saran to them if possible.
Well, if you're trying to beat the bastard to him, the closest one I could think of would probably be on Komogo.
Isn't that the island?
The Moogle Island.
Yep.
Ignore him, he hates Moogles. Which
I
crystal?
do too.
How about that, Dangerous?
You see? Somebody else who gets me.
We didn't. But back on topic. Komogo, what crystal we found there amongst the Moogles?
I believe, if I'm remembering the stories right...
Give me a moment, I'm trying to pull up my notes here.
It's one of the crystals of lightning. I think it's the crystal of light.
One of Ramu's.
Yeah, one of Ramu's. Old fart.
Isn't it also the crystal of darkness in Viola?
Oh, that makes
Of Ramu?
sense. That makes sense. As I understand it, Ramu's crystal of darkness is protected by thunder and snowstorms all the time, so...
One in Komogo, one amongst the Numo, one at Viala, all in the same general region.
Any others that you might know?
Oh, not me. The only reason I'm speculating that one of the crystals is on Komogo is because that's where Ramu himself likes to hang out.
Among Moguls?
Didn't you know? The Mughals basically worship the guy. Part of their creation myths is that he saved their first king.
Huh.
He is of the Mughal kind, Kapo. Well, no seriousness, that's definitely
And-
helpful. Thank you.
Turning to the white mage, can you?
I'm afraid I know little more than he does. Each nation keeps their crystals, if they have one in the first place, carefully guarded. You'd have to
Wow.
either ask them or find someone who could tell you where they all are.
That's at least 3 more identified, which makes 4 out of the 10.
Tam then turns to the rest of you. If you're looking to try and figure out where all of the crystals are, the nearest one is on Komogo, and that's where Ramu supposedly is. If you can manage to get in touch with him, maybe he can point you in the right direction. He is supposed to be the knowledge keeper of them, after all.
True.
I think we'll take you up on that.
And
At least once I've had the Little Wing looked over.
And if he is the knowledge master, then perhaps he'll be able to tell us more about the threat we face.
That is true.
I'd like to know more about these resurrection powers of Diabolos and just how they're connected to the Phoenix. That's troubling me.
The white mage speaks up.
I'm sorry, come again? Resurrection?
Diablos resurrected a former follower of his, turned him into an eidolon from his own ashes.
That doesn't make any sense. That's...
Phoenix's power, we know.
How the hell would Diablos have access to that?
Diablos was also supposed to be dead, so
He devoured her ashes.
that's certainly a theory.
It would make a lot of sense. He absorbed Phoenix's power, and maybe that's how he's alive.
Let's
Maybe he is
hope
alive.
not. I know how much you revere Phoenix, Rocket.
Mm-hmm. My belief is that she can be brought back. There are remnants of her power throughout the world.
True.
Let's hope so. Weirder things have happened recently.
Well, we can inquire that to Ramu as well.
Is there anything else? Or are we free to return to the refugees?
If you have nothing else you wish to say to us, then you are dismissed.
Just one thing, if I could have 5 minutes of your time. Mikota, was it?
She turns to you.
Yes?
If it's no bother, just 5 minutes to make a quick inquiry about something.
I'm listening.
Privately, if you don't mind.
I'd rather you ask your questions here. Or at the very least, where I know I'm not alone. No offense, but you
And-
are strangers here.
That is fair.
And an island has
And
sunk.
at this point, Thanatos gets the hint and starts to drag everybody out the door. We'll meet you later at the entrance, Nick.
I owe you a drink.
Thank you, by the way. As I say as I leave.
Alright. The Alpha nods. And after a moment, the door closes. And you are alone with the rest of these people, Nee.
So, what is your question?
The reason I want privacy and the reason I didn't want to bother you if you couldn't spare 5 minutes is... Pulls out the ring. I'm seeking an enchantment for this. Something that... Well... If someone was able to sustain mortal wounds, they would be protected.
Hmm.
Death prevented.
Such an enchantment would require a powerful component.
As I've been told, but I'm pretty determined.
Fortunately, I don't know the location of any off the top of my head.
But
My days are going to be busy looking into current matters, but as a thank you for saving so many lives, I can look into it when I have a free moment.
even if it's just a tidbit of where to go and look next, I would appreciate it. Especially now. It's
Understandable.
for Mika, and more than ever. I think she could use a reason to smile.
The quiet one?
She wasn't this quiet before Marasu. That's the problem.
She's from there?
She watched her whole home go under. She was with us against Saran, the crystal. You can stop it. I think she blames herself as well.
I'll keep my eyes open.
Only if you have the time. I appreciate it.
Now get a move on. You have people to help.
And crystals to save.
So it would seem.
As you're turning to leave, you can hear the Alpha sort of talking to the mages. You know,
I need word of what has happened sent to all of our allies wherever we can, wherever you can reach them. If the situation is as serious as it seems, everyone needs to be on guard.
and as those words are being said, the door closes and you rejoin everyone else out in the waiting room.